All right, that moves us to number 9 on our agenda, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board and our community. It's an honor to be here as we remember 9/11. I always like to go back reflecting on the raising of the flag picture at Ground Zero that was taken on that day, recorded by Thomas Franklin. And what's interesting about this image is that there were two other images of this same moment. Rick Flores actually caught this image of these firemen raising the flag, but he was looking down. His image was from looking down perspective. Lori Grinker actually caught the same image, but hers was looking at the firemen. And then you have Thomas Franklin, whose image was looking up at the firemen. And it's interesting, three images from three different perspectives all gave three notions of that particular day. It gives perspective of just what perspective does. And if you look at Rick Flores or Lori Grinker's images, you see very different interpretations of what's going on. But it's the resilience of looking up that I really take away from, and I think the world took away from this. Also representing what we saw in Iwo Jima with the Rosenthal picture. So there's a lot to say about our country, our nation, when we look up at the right perspective, just the resilience of our nation, the strength of our nation, and the future that we have. And I think that's the same as we look at the work that we do. We can look at our work and our students in many different perspectives, looking down, looking at, or looking up. But if we choose to look up, we see that pledge that we said, that one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, that we have that each and every day in the 17,300 lives that we serve here in School District 5. Led by, as a system, answering three critical questions. Why do we do this work? How do we do this work? And then what are our outcomes? Our why is our vision. Our vision is that we love and grow our students. Our how is our mission. And our mission is that we are focused on academic, social, emotional growth and development. And then our outcomes, as identified in our strategic plan, where we have the performance goal of school climate and teacher admin quality, that every student feels loved in our schools, and that the student achievement and gifted and talented strategies of every student having demonstrated growth in our schools. We've talked about growth as it's the growing season in School District 5, but I'd like to focus a little bit on achievement. And SC Ready scores came out. We have, as a state, has to celebrate the amazing growth that we saw in our English language arts results. Accountability put together a visual representation of our scores from last year's spring to this year's spring SC Ready, as well as our MAP scores. As we monitor the progress, you see 4 colors: exceeds in blue, meets in greens, approaches in yellow, and red is does not meet. What's interesting is to see a 6% increase in ELA in terms of meets and exceeds. And we look at math, we see a 2% increase in terms of meets and exceeds in our math. And so we're very excited about the work that our teachers, our students, our families are doing in School District 5. Also, what was reported is our SC Ready, our science results. Again, to be above the state average as a district. We are very proud of the work that we do. We have seen increases, especially in our meets, and so we look to increase our performance. Decreasing in does not meet, increasing in meets means that there's a lot of great work going on in our school district. And it aligns to the 3 challenges that we have outlined in our strategic plan and in our annual report. The growth in mental health issues, the growth in the students trying to meet English and math grade level proficiency, and then the growth of student enrollment in the Chapin schools, but the growing facility needs and the Irmo schools, which includes Dutch Fork. So that gives us three opportunities. The opportunities to look at mental health services with a social emotional learning program. It gives us the opportunity to connect students with a trusted adult to maximize their potential, including in world-class honors programs. And it gives us an opportunity, as we'll talk about tonight, to develop a 5-year master facilities plan that provides that equity and access for all students. Today, I want to talk about the opportunity A, the mental health services. And I lead with a question about labeling our emotions. And that question is, how are you feeling today? Now, when you were in school, I don't know if you were greeted with a good morning or welcome class, but imagine being greeted with, how are you feeling today? How would you answer that? Do students have the vocabulary to answer that? I know a lot of times when children come home and say, how was school? The number one answer is okay, or it was fine. But we want to talk about labeling all of the emotions. I take liberty to present a movie I think should be guaranteed watching for all of our board members, and that's the movie called Inside Out by Disney Pixar. In the movie, that each of the 5 emotions is given not only a label, but a characteristic and of how they impact our human psyche. This is not just cartoons. It comes from the science. James Russell and the work of many different psychologists have been able to identify over 180 different emotions and feelings. Yet, the average American can only identify 3. And so what James Russell's is classified in a really nice chart here, how these emotions not only are organized, but how they impact us, from active positive, which makes us excited, to negative passive, which makes us sad and depressed. But to be ready to learn, to truly be ready to learn, as we see in the work of Brene Brown, is to be content and to be calm. That's the best state of learning. That's the green. And so there has been a lot in terms of understanding how each one of these emotions has a color that plays along with it. Green is where we want our students to be calm, to be balanced, to be grateful, to be understanding. It's great to have students in the happy and excited area of yellow, but that takes a lot of energy every day. We want the students to be able to do that themselves. And so you can label these emotions based on colors. What I'm excited about is that we see this in our buildings already. If you go to Piney Woods Elementary School, students are learning these colors. They're learning them in what's called zones of regulation. Not only can they talk about they talk way more about just 3, over 20 emotions these kids can name. And so when a child is in the blue, they can tell a teacher, they can tell a friend, I'm feeling blue, or I'm feeling yellow. And what's more important is not only can they name that emotion, but their neighbors know what that emotion means, and their teachers know what that emotion means, and their administrators and their parents, and everybody is learning what these colors mean and what these emotions mean, and it helps manage those students. What does the science say? When your emotion, especially in that yellow or red, goes unchecked, it does not heal on its own. But these classes, this school has interventions to get children to that green zone. That's empowerment. That's the power of addressing these behaviors and preventing the escalation of behaviors with mental health services. And so at Irmo Elementary School, it may be a thermometer. At Oak Point Elementary School, it could be a mood meter. At Piney Woods Elementary School, it's zones. Our goal is not to make one systematic program across the district. Our goal with a district-wide social emotional learning program is to have a common language of what blue, yellow, red, and green means across our district. We don't have this at all of our elementary schools. We don't have this at our middle and high schools and intermediate schools. I feel like our teachers need this. I feel like we need a systematic way with a research-based, evidence-backed assist to help us establish what these colors will be across the district, and not only that, provide us with interventions that are supported that will help ensure that we can get people to green. I would like in our school district that we teach bell to bell with SEL, that we talk about and provide opportunities for students to get into green. There are a lot of interventions when students have outbursts and behaviors. We need those preventions to be able to name the emotions that are targeting us. And we feel that this is in line with the profile of the college and career graduate to help build integrity, self-direction, global perspective, perseverance, work ethic, and interpersonal skills. So we hope that a support of a district-wide social emotional learning program so that we can have common language, common skills to build these life characteristics so that our children can be successful. And that, Madam Chair, is a huge part, members of the board, a huge part of the growing season. And so before I move on to the academic update from Ms. Tina McCaskill, given her time to come to the podium, I'll answer any questions about what has been presented thus far.
Do we have any questions? All right.
All right, Ms. McCaskill.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board, Dr. Ross. I'm happy to talk tonight about some summer academic programs that we had this summer. The first one is our summer reading camp that's for our second and third graders. This is part of the Read to Succeed legislation. You'll see the numbers that are there. What really stands out to me is really our goal with this camp is to make sure that we have 5 weeks where students can just love reading, and they leave us without that summer slide, and they take home books, and they're excited about reading. And so if you look at that, you see that 50% of the students increased 1 level in their reading, 50% maintained, but 0 decreased. And so that was a win right there because we had excited students. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some things that happened and show you some pictures as well. But that one statistic is huge. And our overall attendance was 84.3%. So when you look at 5 weeks in the middle of the summer, that's a pretty big win as well. And we read over 445 books as read-alouds to the students. And we had community members that came in and read as well. So a really fun time with students. We had Stan Tucker to come. He is an author out of Georgia. And he actually has a library where he puts books written by students in his library. And so he has a hardback book, and every student in the camp got this hardback book. He came and talked to them about what being an author was, helped them choose topics, and at the end of camp, we submitted 3 books to Stan, and he is going to choose one of those books to completely publish. It will be for sale on Amazon, and it will be in his library. And so we're very excited, and we had kids coming in the next day. I had one little boy come running up to me, and he said, "Look what I wrote last night, look what I wrote." And he had written this entire story and was just so excited about what writing could do for him. And these are kids that struggle with writing and reading. And so just the impact that he's had is just exciting. And we've got schools that are actually having him come in for this year as well. So some of our elementary schools, you'll see Mr. Tucker enter that too. So that was a big win. We had a partnership with Richland County Library where they came in and they read books and they brought in activities that go along with books. They also had an author that visited with us virtually. So that was a great partner. We had summer interns that came in, so future teachers, they were able to come in and learn alongside. One dream that I had of summer reading camp was to try to make it like a lab school, and this is one way that we've been able to do that, so that our experienced teachers can give back to our interns and make them teachers of reading, Our interns and our first-year teachers, teaching reading is a process. It is not easy, and it's not something that in 4 years of college that you really learn. That until you can sit beside with a teacher and sit beside children to learn to read, that's how you learn to teach how to read. And so this was a big win to have the interns with us, and we were able to have some of our interns from last year come back, so it was 2 years for them. Some are graduating, and they'll be teachers. It's one of them in our district, actually. We also are very excited to have our Call Me Misters with us. Dr. Wicker was a big part in having that, and just having those young men as part of the environment was just incredible. Our students identify with them, and just, again, more future teachers being able to be impacted with our teachers and with our students. So this is some work that kids did where they were talking about which was their favorite book and why. And this little boy's name is Cam, and he liked Those Shoes because the grandmother and her grandson were nice, kind, and generous. And we had, our curriculum did tie in some character words, and this was one of those books that did that. This one was just a great picture with sand art, because we are able, with ESSER funds, we were able to have a related arts teacher. And this particular teacher actually was an art teacher and a PE teacher, so we were able to incorporate both of those this summer. And Zanny this is her little picture that they came up with. So just lots of experiences for kids. For middle and high school level, summer school, you'll see the intermediate, middle, and high schools, their numbers and their success rates, which were just amazing, that we were able to get overall the 95.5% success rate with summer school, knowing that our high school summer schools are some students who are recapturing classes, and some of those students, 22 of those students, were able to recapture 2 courses over the summer. So very good percentage rates there. And then the academic enrichment camps, that's what we offer with the ESSER funds. So 4 days during the summer, so 1 week during the summer, our intermediate, middle, and high schools had students that came in for various purposes, all academic related, but they were able to develop these based on the needs of their school, and they were able to invite the students that they felt would benefit the most. For elementary, we chose to use those funds to go towards the summer reading camp to include more students. Typically, we have about 50 students in the summer reading camp. As you saw this year, we actually started out with 100, and we ended up with actually 86 coming to summer reading camp. So that is the academic update, and I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Do we have any questions? Mr. Satterfield?
Yes, this is probably for Dr. Ross as much as anybody. With the new program that we're implementing this summer with over in the Harbison area, will that really increase our numbers with the kids participating in these summer programs?
And with that, it'll allow us to not only increase those numbers, but we're seeing the same results that Ms. McCaskill shared with our earlier examples, where we're stopping that summer slide. And so you take really good, I'm very encouraged that our teachers can build on top of that. So, and I think and we don't have Mr. Scott here, but we're finding twofold. Not only does it give our students a chance to grow, it gives future teachers an opportunity to teach those and come to our field. So I see it twofold.
Well, I'll confess to our Ms. Turner, Dr. Turner, that I was actively recruiting at the Call Me Mister program. And my hat's off to that program. If you could have seen the enthusiasm, Dr. Ross was here, the kids were cheering about reading, and they were all excited about the whole program. So if we can carry that enthusiasm over to that new program, that would just be awesome. I think we could make a lot of gains with a lot of kids. That's a real positive, I think.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Ms. McCaskill.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board and our community, I want to make a quick correction. Brene Brown had 87 feelings and experiences. I gave her 100 extra, but 87 of those. So, but again, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Can you say that again?
87 feelings and expression and experiences.
okay.
Feelings and experiences. 87.
Okay, okay, I got you. There's probably 187 feelings, it's okay.